Today's fabulous Friday recipe is walnut crusted, you heard me, walnut crusted catfish. So let's start first of all with getting everything ready to put it in our Pro 7 air fryer. The wonderful thing about our 4-in-1 immersion blender is that you get so many pieces that it makes it really convenient to use. And I'm going to be using our little beaker component because this is how I am going to get the egg mixed. And we're just going to take one egg and I'm going to use the attachment that's designed for whipping. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I put this attachment on so that it actually locks in place, as you can see. And now I'm just going to simply beat my egg. That didn't take any time at all, did it, guys? Okay, so now I'm going to remove that attachment. And I'm going to be using this egg mixture, and I'm putting it in one of my Fantasia Fresh storage containers. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get the walnuts prepared. And how I'm going to do that is basically take about a ½ cup, because I'm only going to be doing one fillet. I'm not going to do, as you would for your family, several pieces. And of course, this is a medium-sized piece of catfish. And just to give you some idea of about how much you need per fillet, for a single medium-sized fillet, you need about a ½ cup of walnuts. And don't forget, when you're using the food processor, you want to make sure you take off the blade covers, because these are extremely sharp, and that's why we have blade covers. Then we're going to put the walnuts in it. I'm not measuring because I kind of have an eye for how much about a ½ cup would be. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of why I chose these items today for their health benefits. But now we're going to put our lid on and basically just put that on and lock it in place. And now I'm going to take my motor and attach it. And just like all the other attachments, you want to make sure it locks in place. The object of using the food processor is to break up your walnuts, but you don't want to over pulverize them, because you want to get chunks of walnut that will actually be crusted over your catfish. So here I go. That's it. That's all we needed. It took me about 3 pulses. Okay. Now we're going to take this off. And what I'm going to do is actually place my walnuts into another Fantasia Fresh container. That's a larger, flatter container, because I'm actually going to use these broken pieces to actually seal onto the catfish. So we're going to move this attachment away. Aren't you loving the fact that our 4-in-1 immersion blender comes with all these great parts? I'm going to move this over. Okay, now we're ready to get the catfish going. So to do that, what I'm going to do is take my pre-washed catfish that has been dried, and I am going to sprinkle one of my favorite seasonings, which is Old Bay seasoning. It is a seafood seasoning that's spicy but not overly spicy. So I'm going to sprinkle my catfish, and I would say that if you don't like Old Bay, you can use any other seasoning or just basically use a little salt and pepper. But I love the taste of Old Bay, And if I were to actually deep fry catfish, I would probably want to do the same thing. But the beauty of what we're doing today is no deep frying. Okay, so now I've seasoned my catfish. I have my egg, and I'm basically going to just put my egg in just to cover it, cover the catfish with the egg batter. And now, the best part of all, I'm moving this over to my walnut, and my walnuts have been crushed, and all I'm doing now is just making sure that I completely coat. Oh my, this is looking wonderful. It's nicely coated. You want to make sure you press all of the catfish down so you can get all of the walnut formed and shaped into the catfish. And I'm going to show you what this looks like before I actually place it in the air fryer. I want you to see how crusted it is. And I'm trying not to lose any of my catfish. And I mean not my catfish, but any of my nut topping. That walnut looks great. Okay, so now let me have you take a look. Look at that, guys. This is how it looks before I place it in the air fryer. Now, what I would have done is I would have preheated my air fryer. If you're not familiar with our Pro 7 air fryer, it is designed so that you don't have to know what temperature to put things on for many of your very popular items that you're going to use it for. And of course, fish is one of those. So what you would do is you would just simply press it. I would have preheated it, and then I'm going to take my basket out, and I'm going to place, believe it or not, very easily, my crusted catfish into the basket. Okay, and then I'll place it in my Pro 7 air fryer, and then all I have to do is touch the programmed fish button and let it go. It's going to automatically cook that wonderful catfish fillet. And if you're wondering what the finished product looks like, I've got one right here to share with you. This is the finished product. I've got my crusted catfish, I've got a beautiful piece of broccoli, and I have lemon wedges. I am all ready. So I want to just say I will see you guys back here next week at 1 o'clock. And don't forget, try my walnut crusted catfish.